Dang it. All right. So now we're going to solve with multiplication and division, guys. So remember, multiplication and division are best friends, so they undo each other. The thing here to remember is that fraction or fractions is just a fancy way of dividing. Okay, so 1/2 is just 1 divided by 2. Another thing, when you're solving and we're going to start dividing and stuff, I really do not want to see this sign. Is it wrong? No. But y'all, welcome to middle school. We're not going to really do that much. So you're going to use the fraction bar, okay? Because otherwise you're going to get lost up. So you'll see what I mean when I say that. So for number 1, draw your river, just like we did for the adding and subtracting. We find our variable, which is x. And then this is 3 times x. Remember, if there's not an operation, then that means it's multiplication. So 3 times x. So we want x by itself. So the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. This is what I meant. I don't want to see this. No, don't do that. Use your fraction bar. Because that way, look how nice and neat. Those go away. Drop down your x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Miss Beck, do we have to check step it out? Yes, I don't even know why you're asking. So 3x equals 12. Once again, we think that x is 4. When I plug in, I use parentheses. 3 times 4 is 12. Is that what I'm supposed to get? Yep, check step. All right. Once again, a fraction bar is just a fancy way of saying dividing. So here's my, oops, not crayon. Here's my variable. This is x divided by 4. The opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. Those cancel. Drop down your x. Negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. I know because my calculator told me so. So x over 4 equals negative 6. We think that x is negative 24, so let's go ahead and plug it in. And then that's over 4. And in my calculator, negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. Is that what I was supposed to get? Yep. Yay. All right. Here's another math word for you, reciprocal. So reciprocal means that we flip our fraction. So if we have a fraction, which is 1/2, this is 1/2 times x. So technically, could you divide by 1/2? Absolutely. Could you turn 1/2 into 0.5 and then divide by 0.5? Absolutely. But honestly, you just need to get in the habit of getting rid of these fractions anyway. So if you have a fraction out in front of the variable, you take the reciprocal. And the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1, which is really just 2. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. Those go away. Drop down your x. 7 times 2 is 14. If you're ever going to check one out, this would have definitely been the one to check. Alrighty, so we think that that is 14. So 1/2. So in your calculator, you would put 1 divided by 2, enter, times 14, enter. And you get 7. But y'all, let's just be real. What's half of 14? 7. And that's what we were supposed to get. Alrighty. This time our variable is on the right. It's trying to be sneaky. We see you. So remember, if there's not an operation in between the coefficient and the variable, coefficient is just the number in front of the variable, then that's multiplication. So that's negative 4 times n. So you're not thinking about what's the opposite of a negative 4. No, you're just thinking about the operation. So this is negative 4 times n. So the opposite of multiplying by a negative 4 is dividing by a negative 4. We got to get rid of everything touching n. He wants to be by himself. He don't like all these numbers. So those go away. Drop down your n. A negative and a negative is a positive. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Once again, put that in your calculator. And then if you're like me and you're like, ugh, that looks ugly, just make it n equals 2. Same thing. Let's check step it out. Supposedly n is 2. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Yay! That's what we should have gotten. Couple more. After we get over the initial panic attack of seeing a decimal, we just do math. Here's the variable. Once again, that's just negative 2.1 times x. The opposite of multiplying by a negative 2.1 is dividing by a negative 2.1. So we're going to divide on both sides. Those go away, drop down your x. In your calculator, 8.4 divided by 2.1, and then add your negative on, is a negative 4. Write our original equation. Supposedly x is negative 4, so let's just plug it in right there. Once again, in your calculator, negative 2.1 times negative 4 is a positive 8.4, which is what we should have gotten. See, it's not that bad, so don't stress out when y'all see decimals. Okay, so this one's a little sneaky because we got this negative just kind of out here chilling, okay? So the negative can either go to the top or the bottom, not both, okay? It can go to the top or the bottom. I would just go ahead and put it down here with the 10. That way you're actually saving yourself a step. So once you put it down there, now it's n over negative 10. Okay, that's it. So once again, you could have put it up with the n, but you can't do it on both. Only one. So this is, here, drive over, n divided by negative 10. So the opposite of dividing by a negative 10 is multiplying by a negative 10. Oh, while I'm at it, guys, I don't want to see this either. Like, what? That looks weird. No, use your parentheses. You'll thank me in your future. Okay. So those cancel. Drop down your n. A negative and a negative is a positive. 3 times 10 is 30. By now, y'all should be check step masters. So we supposedly think that n is 30. 30 divided by negative 10 is negative 3. Which is what we should have gotten. So that checks out. I think we have 1 or 2 more, guys. Oh, wait, I think that's the last one. Yay. Okay, save the best for last. So this is why I was telling y'all with the 1/2 that we're just going to keep it how it is, okay? We find our variable, it's m. This is 3/4 times m. 3/4 times m. So if our variable, if we have a fraction in front of the variable, this is where we take the reciprocal, okay? So the reciprocal of 3/4, we just flip-flop that fraction. So now it's 4 over 3. And we have to do that on both sides, okay? Because look, the 3's cancel, the 4's cancel. Drop down your m. A negative and a positive is a negative. And then this is how you would put this in your calculator. You would say negative 3 times 4 divided by 3. I'll say that again. Negative 3 times 4 divided by 3. Which is a negative 4. Okay, let's check step it out. Supposedly m is negative 4. Now, when I'm doing this, you would say 3 divided by 4, enter, times negative 4, which is 4 negative, enter. And I promise you, you'll get a negative 3. Just to prove to y'all real quick that we could, so remember we talked about repeating decimals, and 3/4 is a terminating decimal, right? 3/4, let's take the original equation just real quick. 3/4 is 3/4, right? So 75 cents. So you could have just said, oh, okay. 0.75 times n, what's the opposite of multiplying by 0.75, dividing by 0.75? And I know that looks ugly, but if you put negative 3 divided by 0.75 in your calculator, you're going to get negative 4. Either way, you get the same answer, okay?